Okay, do you want to run a sub 3 hour marathon? Maybe you're wondering how to translate your training from shorter races like 5K and 10K into marathon success. Here's the truth. How you train for a 10K could make or break your marathon goals. A good 10K runner is a good marathon runner. Today, I'll break down exactly how to use 5K, 10K and half marathon training sessions as a cornerstone for you to get faster for a stronger marathon performance. But why listen to me? I'm Grantham and I took my marathon from 3 hours 25 and in 11 months got to 2 hours 37. And I help runners take significant chunks off their times by removing limiting beliefs and going at training in a smart way. And here's the thing. We all deep down think that hard work equates to success, and to a point it does. You're working hard, and I know that, otherwise you wouldn't be searching for answers of how to get faster on YouTube. I was guilty of this initially in my running journey and in all aspects of life. But once I started to train smart, I then ran for my country in both the marathon and the ultra marathon. I know what works and I've seen what doesn't. So if you're tired of random training schedules, or you're stuck in a cycle of injury, stick with me. This isn't just theory. I'll guide you through step by step through the sessions and strategies you need to bridge the gap from 5K, 10K to marathon success. I'm gonna give you 9 training sessions and a bonus 3 sessions if you watch to the end, which will help you get from where you are now to your sub 3 marathon goal. First 4 points which will set you up for success before we even get into the training sessions are point number 1. What is your starting point? We're trying to run a marathon in 3 hours, 4:15 per kilometer for 42.2K. So it stands to reason if you can hold that for 1 kilometer, it might be a long journey to get you to that point of running a sub 3 marathon. If you can already run 4:15 per kilometer and run that for half a marathon, you're only 1 training schedule away from holding that for the entire marathon distance. And your starting point is not just how fast you can currently run 5K or 10K or half marathon. Those are great indications. What does your schedule currently look like? How many miles are you running per week? And is there any structure to your week, or is it very much on an ad hoc basis? The more running that you've been doing recently, the quicker you're going to be able to get into a structured training plan and start to execute the plan towards that sub 3 goal. Which nicely brings me on to point 2. Be realistic with yourself. And again, I always hate to say that because I love to be optimistic, but the 5 quickest ways for you to get injured is too much distance too soon, overall volume, too much of a long run too soon, too much faster work too soon, too many hills too soon, or too much of a different surface too soon. So if we keep away from those things, and if you think about it, if you look at only your long run and increasing that, that's going to affect the volume of the week, then we need to keep away from injury so that your progress curve is like this, and it's more likely to be a little bit more jagged, but you get where I'm coming from. You've got to be self-aware to the point where your discipline becomes not just, okay, you're getting up every day and making it happen, but the discipline to hold back and having that self-awareness to know that today is not the right day to do interval day because I still feel a bit beaten up from the last long run. If you can learn that skill right now, it's gonna really help you, not just emotionally and mentally, but also help you run faster times. Number 3, training structure. A good runner knows when to go hard, when to go fast, and when to take it easy and recover. And they appreciate and respect that you need those recovery runs and easy runs in order to push when it really counts. They also respect that those key days, those key sessions are where you get your super compensation, where you get the most improvement. And if you look at a 13-week plan and we say that 10 days of that is taper, that's 11 weeks in order to get 2 sessions per week boxed off. And if you can hit 80% of those sessions, well, you're well on your way to success in your training schedule. And the final point in the points that will set you up for success is the target is a moving target. I speak to a lot of runners who are initially looking 6 months, 9 months, 12 months down the line, and they've already got a time in mind for the marathon that they want to run. We're going to get lots of indication from the training and the paces that you're running in your faster sessions and in your long run as to what you're capable of. Let the target be that I want to get as much as I possibly can out of myself in the next 6 months or 9 months. That's a better way to look at it and will move you on way more. So if you look at the equivalent times for 5K, 10K and half marathon for a sub 3 hour marathon, then here they are. And remember, for the marathon, we're aiming at 4:15 per kilometer or faster to reach that sub-3. For the half marathon, it gets 15 seconds per kilometer faster, and we're aiming for 4 minutes per kilometer. It gets 10 seconds per kilometer faster for the 10K, and we're aiming at 3:50 per kilometer. And then 5 seconds faster than that per kilometer to get a 5K in 18:45, which is the equivalent time that we need to run in order to set ourselves up to run a sub-3 hour marathon, providing we've done all the other work. So let's say you're a 3 hour 45 marathon runner, or you're a 3 hour 30, or you just cannot conceive that you can achieve, believe, you cannot conceive that you could run a sub-3 hour marathon before. I speak to a lot of these people all the time. And again, it's about removing limiting beliefs. What about if you tackled it and went back to the 5K, gave the 5K the respect that it deserves, and understood deeply that if I can become a good 5K runner and then a good 10K runner, I'm gonna be a good marathon runner. One of the best coaches that I've ever spoken to, who unfortunately is not with us anymore, told me that if you can get to marathon start line in 10K PB shape, as long as you've done the long runs, you're in great shape. So a good 10K runner is a good marathon runner. As amateurs and recreational athletes, we often misunderstand that, and we associate the marathon with you being able to go over long periods of time at a slow pace. It is just not the case. We want to get to the race and race it. So here are 12 sessions, 9 plus 3 bonus sessions that are going to get you to a sub-3 hour marathon as safely, as injury risk free as possible, whilst keeping it fun and enjoyable. Session number 1. 10 times 500 meters with 60 seconds rest in between. And we're gonna run that at 5K equivalent sub-3 pace. So 18:45, 3 minutes 45 per kilometer. So 10 times 500 meters, 60 seconds rest in between at 3:45 per kilometer. Great session, 5K work for volume at the 5K pace we're trying to achieve. Session number 2. 5 times 1K with 60 seconds rest in between at the 5K pace we're trying to achieve, that equivalent pace that's going to make us into that sub-3 marathon runner. So 3:45 per kilometer. So 5 times 1K, 60 seconds rest in between at 3:45 per kilometer pace. Session number 3. 12 times 500 meters with 60 seconds rest in between at 3 minutes and 45 seconds per kilometer. So we're building that volume, 6 kilometers of hard work, running at our 5K pace. Great session. Session number 4, 6 times 1 kilometer with 60 seconds rest in between at 3:45 per kilometer pace. So again, 6 kilometers of volume, but we're only breaking it up into 6 times a kilometer. So it's a slightly harder session to manage, but a great confidence booster to be able to run that 18:45 5K. Session number 5. 14 times 500 meters, 60 seconds rest in between at 3:45 per kilometer. So 7 kilometers worth of volume at 5K intended pace, 3:45 per kilometer. Great session to build confidence, and if you can do that session along with the next one, you're well on your way to being able to set yourself up for a race and run 18:45 for the 5K, and therefore indicate that in the future you can be running a sub-3 hour marathon. Session number 6, you guessed it. 7 times 1 kilometer with 60 seconds rest in between. 7 kilometers of volume, again at 3:45 pace per kilometer. Building a great athlete that should be super confident to lace up and race either a park run, a time trial, or your local 5K race and hit that equivalent time for sub-3 hour marathon. Now, those could be the 6 sessions that you needed in order to run that equivalent time, in order to run that 18:45. And if you get to the race and you're on 18:30 or 18:45 or 19 minutes, I would say you're in a great place to be able to start 10K training, work with a little bit more volume, as I'm about to show you, and gradually build the effort of moving over the ground at specific 10K pace, which is 3:50 per kilometer, and we're aiming at 38:30 to 38:45. Session number 7, and this is the first of the 10K sessions. 8 times 4 minutes with 60 seconds rest in between. Again, we keep that 60 seconds rest as a constant so we can monitor your progress over the weeks. It also keeps the heart rate elevated so we're working at the right effort level throughout the entire session. What you'll notice there between that first 10K session and the last 5K session is there's a nice, smooth, manageable transition from 7 times 1 kilometer to 8 times 4 minutes. And the way we're going to make it even more manageable is you're running that now at 10k pace. So you're running that at 350 per kilometer. What that's going to allow you to do is to do the 8 times 4 minutes, the 32 minutes of total volume, so a little bit more at 10k pace, not now at 5k pace. Session number 8, 5 times 6 minutes with 60 seconds rest in between at our 10k goal pace, which is 350 per kilometer. So what we're doing there is we're going up in rep length by 50% from 4 minutes to 6 minutes, but we're only doing 5 reps and we're only doing 30 minutes of volume. Very manageable if you completed the session before. Session number 9, 4 times 8 minutes with 60 seconds rest in between at 350 per kilometer at that 10k goal pace to make us a 3-hour marathon runner, that equivalent time. This is a great session, probably one of the best sessions you can do. 32 minutes of hard work at 10k pace. It's going to move you forward so much and put you in a place where you should be confident to tackle that 10k in 38:30 to 38:45. And then once I'd completed those sessions, I'd be up for racing, and ideally that would be an organized race where you can test out your racing strategy, you can test out your skills, you can feed off that nervous energy, that anxiety before the start, and aim for that 38:30. Go out at a conservative pace, hold on for as long as you can, and know that it's going to get tough at some stage, and hopefully that's the 8k point and not the 5k point, but you've got to be ready to dig in. Once we've done that and we've hit that time, again, there or thereabouts, so anything from 38 minutes to 40 minutes, I'd be ready to start the half marathon training. And these are 3 sessions that I'm going to give you specifically for half marathon. Session number 10, and I'm running out of fingers. 8 times 5 minutes at 4 minutes per kilometer, which is the intended pace that we're trying to hold for the half marathon, to run a half marathon in 1 hour 25. 60 seconds rest in between those reps. So 40 minutes of volume, 8 times 5 minutes in that 4 minute per kilometer pace. All of a sudden that pace is a bit slower, so it seems a lot more manageable to handle that extra volume. And we've just come from doing the 10k sessions of 8 times 4 minutes and 4 times 8 minutes. So all of a sudden 8 times 5 minutes, not that big a difference. Easily manageable for you, especially at this slower pace. What it's enabling us to do is to build that volume specifically at the race pace we're intending to do, which once we've completed this race pace, we're well on our way to running a sub 3 hour marathon. Session number 11, one of my favorite sessions. 4 times 10 minutes, 60 seconds rest in between only. It's going to keep our heart rate elevated, keep us working at the effort level throughout a lot of volume, 40 minutes volume, big rep lengths, and we're working at that 4 minutes per kilometer. It's a great session, but it's manageable for you. You've come from 4 times 8 minutes, and so it's not a big step more, 25% extra per rep, and you're doing it at the slower pace of 4 minutes. Brilliant session. Session number 12. 12 times 1 kilometer, 60 seconds rest in between. So essentially 12 times 4 minutes, because we're working at a 4 minute per kilometer pace. And if you can do that session 12 times 4 minutes or 12 times a kilometer with 60 seconds rest in between at our half marathon pace, imagine how you're gonna feel when you've got that race day energy, when you've got the nutrition working for you, and when you've got the taper, the freshness in your legs, which we're gonna need in order to execute on race day. It's massive. And once we get to race day and you can execute that 124 or 125 half marathon, you've already taught yourself the 5k training, the 10k training, now the half marathon training. We're in a brilliant place to go for that sub 3 hour marathon training. Now remember, that is just your interval training, but it's such a big area of your game that you need to develop in order to become a fast 5k or 10k runner, and you need to become a fast 5k or 10k runner to become a very fast marathon runner. And sub 3 hour marathon is a very fast time. A lot of people are aiming way lower because they've not built that speed over the 5k and 10k because they're looking at the marathon and impressed by the distance. If you give the smaller distances, the shorter distances, the respect that they deserve and run quicker times for 5k and 10k, it's going to set you up for the half marathon. There's such a close relationship between those two. And then, of course, there's a close relationship between the time that you can run for half a marathon and the marathon. And the final thing I will say on it is what we're teaching ourselves to do here is not just the result. It's not all about the result. If you run 2:59, brilliant. If you run 3:03, brilliant. We're teaching ourselves to be good trainers. And so together with the rest of the plan, this interval session is a big part of the picture. And if we execute it well and we do it consistently on a weekly basis, those results and that type of trainer, that type of runner that you are, those results are going to compound and make you a completely different athlete 3, 6, 9 months from now. Let me know in the comments below, which one of those sessions is unreasonable? Which one of those sessions is your most favorite?